Today I am going to be talking about an app called Basic Fraction. This is an app for second or third graders that will help them better their understanding for fractions and adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. The first feature I want to talk about is the Identify feature. In the Identify portion, students have to identify the shaded parts of an object, and some objects are like this ruler, and there's also a pizza and a pie, and it keeps track of how long the kids are doing it, and it has a keyboard down on the bottom to show, or for the students to type in their answers, and it also shows the answer out to the right side. The next category in the app we will be talking about is the Compare category. And in this category, the students will compare the two shapes, and they will either put if the shapes are less than, greater than, or equal to. And the buttons for the less than, greater than, or equal to are to the right side. And then the shapes you can see are colored differently, but they are the same number of puzzles in each shape. Next, we will talk about the Reduce category. In the Reduce category, it shows the students a fraction, and they are supposed to reduce it down to the smallest form. So for example, on this problem, the greatest common factor would be 11. So you divide 44 by 11 and 55 by 11, and that would come out to be 4/5. And here, since I'm not in the app, I can't type it, but there's a keyboard like the Reduce like the Compare and the Identify, where the students can type in the numbers. For the Find the X category, students will have an equation like this one, and two of the fractions will be full fractions, and there will be another fraction that has an X on the top or the bottom. It's not going to really matter. And the students will have to find out what number X is. And like the other categories, there's the answer so they can see what they type to the right, and down below is also the keyboard. So for the add, subtract, multiply, and divide symbols, there are equations that are given to the students, and these will be adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing, depending on which one they choose. And they are just like all the other categories. They have the answers so that students can see, and they have the keyboard. But as you can see, I'm comparing the adding and subtracting. You can tell that there's a addition symbol there to the left one and a subtracting symbol on the right. As you can tell, they're pretty similar, besides the students will be adding in one or subtracting in one. The next category I will talk about, and it's also the last category, is the random button down at the bottom. And as you can tell, with the random button, it looks almost like adding, which I talked about right before in the category before, but on the random button, the students will click the random button, and the equations, as you can tell on this one, it's adding. But throughout the whole random tab, it won't just be adding. It can either be adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. So the students don't know which ones they will be getting until they get the answer right from the question before. And as I've said in every other slide, the students can see their answer to the right, and they also have the keyboard down below. Lastly, I want to talk about all the categories on the right side of the home page. The first two ones, the one that looks like a tic-tac-toe and also the boxes with words on them, those are both games. And I could not look at the games because you have to have the full version of the game, which if the students want to buy the game, the whole version, so they can play the games, the upgrade button is down in the right hand corner. And also on the home page there's a help button. So if any of the students or even the teacher have a question, they can email or call the company that made the app and they can get help on what they needed. I really hope that going through this app shows you that this app can really help students learn how to use fractions in everyday life.